Welcome! I'm Mary McEwan, your host for Find Your Family for Free. Today we're going to learn how to use the world's largest free grave site, Findagrave.com. It contains 138 million graves, most of which have photographs, but it's only the beginning. You can also find family photos, obituaries, vital records, and other members researching your family, and much, much more, and all for free. Even if you're familiar with this site, I have some new tips which I think you will find helpful. First, we're actually going to visit a graveyard where my friend Linda will show you her simple but amazing techniques to prepare graves to be photographed. After that, Linda and I will go to our friend Larry, who will show Linda how to add her photos to Findagrave. Then I will show you some tips on how to use Findagrave to find your family. So let's go meet Linda at the graveyard and get started. Today we're in Forest Memorial Gardens, the oldest cemetery in Olympia, Washington. I'm here with my friend Linda Grubbs. Linda has taken thousands of pictures of not only her family graves, but of other people's graves in many states in the United States, which she will tell us about. She'll tell us why she's done this, and she'll give us some really great techniques to take the best graveyard pictures you can. So let's get started. But first, Linda, tell us something about yourself.
Well, let's see. I am married, have a wonderful husband, 3 children, 2 children that married into the family, and 4 grandchildren. I work at the Department of Ecology here in Washington State.
Why did you start taking graveyard pictures of other people's graves?
Well, it's fascinating when you come to a graveyard, a cemetery. There's a wonderful feeling of peace, and history sort of overwhelms you. The first few times I only took family pictures. I took a friend of mine who was having problems to a Seattle cemetery, and we found a relative of hers she hadn't been able to find, and there was a little tiny plaque. He was a World War II veteran, little tiny plaque in the ground. We had to dig it out, dig around it to take pictures. And I think just digging around that and then taking pictures of her family down in Grays Harbor area, and I just sort of got the bug.
So you got the bug.
I did.
Well, I know you have thousands of pictures. Do you use a special camera to take these pictures?
It's nothing you can't just buy off the counter. It's a Nikon D60. It has a gyroscope in it because I have a tendency to go like this, and it makes up for that. It gives me less blurred photos than...
So anybody can go
yes.
You're not a world-renowned
No, and I didn't have a lot of money to spend on equipment and all of that. It was just because I loved taking pictures always.
Well, now I'm really excited for you to show us your techniques. What do you start with?
Well, I find a grave. Usually I have my little toolkit with me, and I don't want to pack a lot of stuff as I travel around in the cemetery. But I have to have a few things. Okay. Something to clean off weeds, something to scrape off nastiness. And I've got this tool today because it has a little brush. Usually I carry just a,
scraper,
whatever they call these. And I always carry this, the cheapest stuff I can find. That's shave cream, man's shave cream, because it pops the photo. This little bag I carry is waterproof, so if I have to get on my knee or knees, I'm not in the everything from water to cactus. You want to have something to kneel on. Always cover your feet, some safety things. So then I'll just kind of wipe this off.
This is an old pioneer grave, isn't it?
I think it is. I would have to go to the other side. I took this one because I love that it has a sentiment on it.
Well, we'll have you cleaned all up, and then we'll have you read the sentiment.
And I usually don't do a whole lot of cleaning because I want to, if you look around, there's thousands of graves here, and they're all interesting to me. So
now you're using your shaving cream.
Yeah.
You just use it on the words then?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not harmful. The first rain will wash it off, and and it'll clean the grave. Then it won't, you'll be doing favors for somebody. But see how the words
look
pop
at that.
out?
What a difference. That's amazing.
It
That's
is.
like magic.
It's really nice. Lots of times there's things on the grave that you're not going to see unless you've done this. Even just looking at it, I've discovered wonderful curlicues in the granite that you couldn't see because of the age.
Okay, will you read us what it says at the bottom?
It says, Tanya F. Young Murch, faithful wife of Gary, it is well with my soul.
Now, are you going to take a picture of that?
I am.
Okay, let's see how far you stand back.
Well, I don't stand very far back, but see my shadows on it, so that's something you have to watch out for. And you don't want, I'm usually a little more careful in this. You don't want a bunch of stuff in there. I like to be respectful. People are going to look at these, their families are going to see these, and it's kind of a thing of beauty.
There, you've done it. Then you go to
I've
your
done
next
it.
grave. Would you say you've taken thousands of photographs?
Oh, many thousands.
Now, where do you store these?
I just keep them on a little card. I just go buy a new card. I have dozens and
You haven't
dozens.
put them on anything. How would you like to put them on Findagrave, the world's largest grave site?
I would love to do that. I have used Findagrave myself, and I just am not computer savvy, so learning how to share.
Our friend Larry's home. Larry is quite an expert. He manages memorials, and he'll show us how to put all those on as quick as you can get your little cards in there. You ready for that?
Oh, I'm so ready for that.
One question before we go, though, is why do you do this? You do it because you started with your friend.
I started with my friend. I have an interest in genealogy and that family history piece, but I also love the Civil War era. I have a special passion for that. Those people, ensured America and then spread throughout, and so I always look for the Civil War graves where they have the little either historical societies the government has supplied. You'll see them, they're just a white stone for that. Anytime you find a Civil War grave, you can still get one of those stones to put on it to mark it. And I love the babies in our pioneer heritage. Many of those brave people who did so much for our country had to leave children behind in graves all by themselves because their whole family moved on. So my passion is getting all of those Civil War vets and their families and the little baby graves out there, so they're somebody's great aunt or uncle. That's exciting to think that their family would know where they were finally. I just love that part of it.
So what I think I hear you saying is that these aren't just graves, they're peoples and stories to you as well.
They are so much. It's so quiet in graveyards, and you can walk around and you see these little sayings and you get a feeling of the kind of people that were here, large families, and you hear their sentiments of beloved mother, faithful father, just little brother, those kind of things. It brings you close to your heritage. I mean, these are our family, really. These are America's families.
Well, are you ready to go to Larry so you can put those on and instantly people all over the United States will be able to see your work and see their loved ones?
I would love to do that.
Let's go.
Okay.
Linda and I are now at the home of our friend Larry Wassman, who is an expert on putting things on Findagrave. But first, let's find out a little bit about Larry. Tell us about yourself, Larry.
Well, Mary, I was given the chore of genealogy by my maternal grandfather, who had been doing it for years. And he was in his late 90s, and he said, I'm not going to be here forever. I want to give you the job of following our family history. And so he gave me a big box, and he said, I know, Larry, that we are related to the famous Adams. My mother was Elvira Adams, and the story always were that we were related to the Adamses. Could you solve that question for me? So I started investigating, and I was able to find out, in fact, that we were related to the Adams, the famous Adams families out of Massachusetts. But our wing of the family went to Maine, and that was where you had to find out how they went from Massachusetts to Maine. So I solved that for my grandfather, and I was so excited about that that I got really involved in genealogy from that point.
How long ago was this?
In 1991.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, been a
It's
while.
been quite a journey.
Yeah.
Now you're also a radio operator, aren't you?
I am. I am an amateur radio operator. I'm at the top of the honor roll, the American Radio Relay Leg honor roll. I'm number one. And I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. I've talked to every country and every little island in the whole world, every place.
Well, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
But I hear you're also an expert on how to put things on Findagrave. When did you start putting things on Findagrave yourself?
Well, Mary, to be really honest with you, Findagrave, I got turned on by the Findagrave by you.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that's
I was
nice
at
to hear.
I was at a seminary that you were talking at, and you were talking about some of the things that you could use to make your genealogy a little bit more realistic, and you told me about Findagrave, and I went on and I said, this is like an answer to a prayer.
It is, really
Because
it is.
not only does it give you histories of people, but it also shows you where they were buried, and it gives you a history of what, like an obituary of what their life was about.
Yes, it really does.
And many pictures. I've gotten just really valuable pictures from that.
Was it difficult for you to get started putting your things on Findagrave?
Not really. Not after I looked and saw what other people did and how they did it, and looked at the layout of Findagrave. It's pretty intuitive. You don't have to be a real big expert to know how to do it.
Now, in your opinion, what makes a good memorial on Findagrave?
Well, a lot of people go out and they'll film a whole graveyard. They just take a picture of it.
Like Linda does.
Yeah, right. And they'll take a picture of the grave and they'll put down the man's name or woman's name and then when they died, and they'll put that out on Findagrave. Well, that's not a memorial. And
That's the beginning.
That's the beginning. That's not a memorial. So if you find something like that, and it's especially if it's a family member, you want to add something about that. I've seen many. It says Mary Jones, wife of Sam Jones. Now that's a disservice for Mary Jones. She certainly did more in her life than Mr. Jones. She probably had children. She probably could cook or whatever. She had some attributes, and so I think it's a disservice if people just leave graves like that. You're going to have to do a little research. You could read newspaper articles or whatever in the time and find old obituaries and stuff and put them on there. And then you have a really good memorial. And they're supposed to be memorials on Findagrave. That's what they are. They're not just family histories. They're memorials for these people. And in fact, you can leave little flowers for people. Like on their birthday, you can leave a little pictures of a flower.
You mean electronically?
Yeah, right. Not really, but a little pretend bouquet and things like that.
Well, I think that what Linda has done, though, is very important because a lot of people don't even know where to start. And all these pictures that she's taken, many, many thousands of them, that's why we've come here, so you can show her how to put them on, and they'll be the beginning. They'll be the stone, and then a person can look in that area, and then they can build the memorial.
Right.
But they couldn't do it without Linda's help, so
Right.
she's a very valuable link in this.
That is, because I've been looking for people, and I knew approximately where they lived and everything. And then you can go by county, state and county, and then graveyards within those counties, and you can look for people.
That's true.
I had a relative, their names were Shaws, and they were pioneers in the Puyallup area, and I knew that they lived there their whole life, and they were in the museum and stuff. I could not find their graves. And a lady in Puyallup had recorded the whole graveyard up on the hill. I can't think of the name of it right now.
So she was a Linda.
Yeah.
She was like Linda.
Right. She took the whole graveyard, and so I searched by name, and there was Christopher Shaw, who was a relative of mine, and I was able to, because I had his history, his whole history. Only thing I didn't have was where he was buried, and I'd like to have a picture of his grave. And sure,
And she
this
provided it.
lady had already done that work for me, and that was really valuable.
Well, I'm really excited for you to show Linda how to do this because just think how many people will benefit from you showing her and those getting on there and people coming like you did to find your relative. So let's go over to the computer now and you can show Linda what to do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Linda, what can I do to help you with your computer stuff?
Well, thanks for having me, for one thing, and just teach me how to, I have thousands of pictures, and I don't know how to take them from this and get them on there so that then I can go, I assume, on the internet and put them at Findagrave.
On Findagrave, you're interested in Findagrave. Okay, well we can do that. Will you give me the card there out of your camera?
Okay, I can do that. I've got lots
Okay.
of them filled.
And we put that in here in the computer. The first thing we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to put a place on the computer where you're going to save these pictures. They're on that SD cards. And we're going to set in pictures a new, you go down to new here, and you say, I want to set a new folder. We're going to call that, let's call it Find a Grave. So we've got a place to go to. Now what we've got to do next is to read those pictures that you've put on that SD card and put them into that folder. And the way we do that is we go down here again to the file manager and we look for the drive, which is drive E. It's a secure digital storage device.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I click on that, and we know it's not a recording, it's under DCIM, and you've got two sections here. Let's go to the second section here and look at what pictures you've got. And here they are, magically, almost. The magic of computers. You've got them. Now, we want to find a particular picture that you'd like to take off right away.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
This cemetery that we're at on these is what started me on my journey to take pictures, because my great-grandparents are in this one.
Oh, they are. Where is this? What state are we in?
It's Nebraska.
Nebraska.
We're in Meadow Grove, Madison County, Nebraska.
Okay. How about this picture here? Would you like to take this picture right here?
Oh, yes, that's the name of
Okay.
the cemetery. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Okay, all we have to do is just take it, and you see we're dragging it over here, and we're going to move it down, and it's jumping all over the place.
So I'm going to click
You're
on
gonna-
the
you're-
picture
right,
and then
you're going to find,
drag it to that
Right.
file, Findagrave file that I
right,
make.
right. Now, if you click on Find a Grave, there it is.
Ta-da!
And you blow it up, and you take a look at it, and there it is.
Okay.
Deer Creek Cemetery.
And the reason I want to do that, Larry, is because when I started in looking at Findagrave,
Mm-hmm.
that was fascinating to me to have, people would take a picture of the grave and the cemetery that it was in, and it just was nice. And
Now-
that's part of their memorials.
Right. Now, in Find a Grave, you have all kinds of options. It says right now there are 138 million graves in the world that are located.
Do you know what that was when I started?
What was that?
Like 10 million?
Yeah, right.
How many was it when you
Now
started?
there's 100. I don't remember, but it was nothing like
Yeah.
this. The first thing you need to do is set up an account, and my account is right here, and it's free. So we'll go to after you've set up your account. Now,
So I need to make my own account,
right,
and then I go into that account
right.
to
You go
start
down to the
acting
account, right.
pictures?
Your name will be on the top after you
Right.
create the account. But you're interested in photos, so what you do is you click on photos. Here are some photos that I already have, and you would go over here and you would say, add a photo. So we go in here and we say, we're going to add a picture. And we're going to give a picture of the person, no. Of his family, no. Other, no. We're going to add a picture of his grave, all right? And it says browse. So I've got to go look for this in my computer. And I know that I put it in under pictures, under Find a Grave, right?
Right.
So all I have to do here is click on that picture, and then I can say, add this photo. Okay, it's adding that picture that we just put in out of your camera, and here you can write something, whatever you want to write. I can say, this is Linda's I'm typing slowly here, grandfather. Grave. Okay? Well, I guess misspelled grandfather, I guess. We'll correct that. Grandfather's grave. Okay, so I've captioned that picture. So now I'll say add this picture and the caption. Success.
Yay!
See? And then you would add, the only one we've got here now is this one, but you
Right,
know, you would
right.
have it, and then you would just add the photo in there, okay?
Sweet.
So it's a lot of work, but it's worth it because you never know. I mean, I've found so many pictures of my relatives not knowing that somebody else had previously put it on there. You know, it's like a miracle.
Well, I think you've been a marvelous help, and I think I
Well-
have enough confidence to go forward now.
Okay, you can give me a call if you need any further help.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to show you how to find your own family on Findagrave. First we go up in the address bar and type in Findagrave. My computer's trained, so right there. We'll go over to the right hand side of the page where it has search 138 million grave records. I'm going to use my ancestor Samuel Green because I can show you something really nifty with his. Yeah, it's obvious I've been here before, so I just type in that and it gives me Green. Now, I know he was born in the United States. I know he was born in Rhode Island. So I'll go down and find Rhode Island. As you can see, there's a county list below that. I don't know his county, so I'm just going to leave that blank. Oh, there's 38 Samuel Greens. Well, that's no problem because I can go to refine my last search, and I know he died in 1720, so that should help. Let's see, let's type in 1720. There he is. Captain Samuel Green, born 1671, died in 1720. So let's click on it. First of all, it gives me his birth and death information. It gives me his parents, his spouse, his children, his siblings, and his grave. Now, normally it gives cemetery, but obviously he has his own grave lot. So let's go to his grave lot. There's 31 people in there. I want to find out how many Greens are buried in this. Again, it has my little thing down here below. There's 25. Now, out of 31, I would think the others are probably related to him too, but we're not going to follow that out right now because we have a lot of other things to do. I want to show you about the grave pictures or any pictures that are listed on this side. You can click on them to enlarge them. Also, another thing that you need to know is underneath these pictures, if it says additional pictures, click on that because it can only put on 3 pictures at a time and you might miss some. Now we're going to do something really fun. We're going to jump across the ocean. With one click, we go from Rhode Island to Salisbury, England, where his father was born. Here's his stone, a lot of stories about him. And it tells me down here he was the deputy governor of Rhode Island. That's pretty cool. It says from 1690 to 1700. So you know he was there in that time period. Let's jump back to his dad. Well, here's Dr. John Green. And there's some lovely paintings of him. Let's try his father. We're back in our 3rd generation here. Well, Richard Green looks like he's pretty much the end of it, but he isn't. Look at his spouse, Mary Hooker Green. Always check out the spouses, too. We're only doing one here tonight because we have other things to cover. But there's her mother and father. So let's see. John Hooker, 1524 Exeter. Look at his cool little hat. I don't know if you can see that well. He has this little ruffly thing and his little ruffly cuffs. And there's a lot of really nice things about him here. So if you'll take out your calculator, 2016 minus 1524 is 492 years. I jumped across the ocean, found all these generations in England, and I didn't follow any leaves, and I didn't spend any money. So let's go back. Think about that. You can do the same thing. But you want to start with the generation closest to you. I chose this one because I wanted to show you about jumping across the ocean. Now, we found out There's 31 people in the Samuel Green Cemetery. 25 are Greens. Let's see how many are in the town of Warwick. This starts from that time period on down to the present. Let's see. Oh, 334 in the same town. Okay, let's try the county next. 1,177. Let's try the state. 3,869 total matches. We certainly found a treasure trove by just using Samuel Green's name. Now, let's go back to the original startup menu. Takes a minute to get here. There we go. Now, you can notice right below the graves, you can search for a cemetery. You might know that your people are buried in a certain cemetery, and that's a good way to do it. Then you just put on the cemetery and put in the name like I showed you. And here's where you can add burial records and view recently added names and many more things. This is a new feature. Transcribe the text from headstone images. That has been very helpful in my research that people have done that. And over here you can do famous people, all kinds of wonderful things. Now, you probably have already taken some pictures of graves. If you have, please think about turning them into Findagrave, because this is how this site was built. 138 million graves, one at a time. Just think, you might have the yard of somebody whose ancestors they can't get to, but you have them. What a wonderful way to share. That's how I found Samuel Green. I haven't been to Rhode Island, but somebody graciously put on that information for me. And also, if you have a cemetery in your town, why not go photograph a few graves, or maybe photograph the whole thing and turn it in. What a wonderful, fun journey you'll have. So try this out. Start with your most current relative and work your way back. Have fun. I hope you enjoyed visiting the graveyard. If you're like me, I can hardly wait to try Linda's technique because it's so simple, effective, and environmentally safe too. Larry was very helpful as well. I would like to encourage you to share your photos you have already taken on Findagrave. You might have visited a cemetery someone else can't get to where their family is buried. This is truly a wonderful chance to help others. I would also encourage you to look around in the community in which you live. Is there a graveyard you might like to photograph some or all of? That's how the 138 million photos that are on Findagrave got there, one photo at a time. So please think about it. Until we meet again, may you be blessed.
If you have questions or comments about our show, or you would like to be featured on an upcoming episode, please email us, findyourfamilyfree@gmail.com.